We're live.
Okay, hello, I'm Ron Charles, the editor of the book section of the Washington Post. I'm so glad you joined us today for a special Google Hangout chat with our new romance columnist, Sarah MacLean. Sarah, hello.
Hi, how are you, Ron?
This is the first time we've seen each other in real life.
Well, it's the first time you've seen me. I've watched a lot of your videos.
Oh, now stop.
I'm particularly fond of the one about 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yeah, we should show that later, after 6.
Which I will tweet later.
Now,
Yes, I think you say, "Oh, babies."
Yes.
Or later's babies.
Later's babies, yes.
On it, and I really just it made my heart sing a little, Ron. So.
Now, people are joining us. This is great. Well, you just started this year, so the column is new for you, but there are other new things in your life this year?
There are. I had a baby in December, so I guess she was new last year, but she seems new every day. Every day when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I had a baby, and that was a big thing, and I had a book out right around the same time as I had a baby, and then I had to write another book. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm sort of finishing up the next book.
Great, and you took on this column. Now, how has the column changed your life? I mean, you've got a lot of books coming into the house now.
Yeah. Well, first of all, at the very beginning of the column, right after I had a baby, I then had lots and lots of visits from the mailman that were not baby gifts, but instead gifts from publishers. So my poor Brooklyn apartment started piling up with books, which was not so bad, except my husband wondered, when was this going to stop? So now I read everything on E, which is nice. But the column what's great about the column is that, frankly, that you guys are paying attention to romance. I mean, I'm really thrilled. I'm really honored to be the person that you asked to write the column, and on top of it, I'm just thrilled on behalf of romance that the Washington Post is paying attention to our poor maligned souls.
No, we're lucky to have you, and it's been very popular, and the column's always fun to edit, and I know readers are enjoying it. How do you choose? You only get 3, right? Your 3 favorite romance novels of the month.
And it's hard because there are, one of the things that I think people don't entirely understand about romance is how much of it there is out there. There are literally thousands of romance novels published. I would say probably there are 1,000 romance novels published a month when you consider self-published novels as well. So it gets a little overwhelming, but the trick with romance, and what I try to explain to people when I talk about how to do it well, is if you are not really sucked into a romance novel in the first chapter or 2,
yes,
it's not going to be a romance novel that you love. I like to tell people that if it takes you longer than 6 hours to read my books, I've done something wrong. And I really feel that way. I feel like with romance, the same way I feel about all genre fiction, with mystery and thriller, I feel like you want to dig into a romance, start it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then look up at 8 and go, where did my day go?
Excellent.
My favorite is start it at 11 o'clock at night and say you're just going to read a chapter before you go to bed, and look up at 3 a.m. and curse Sarah MacLean for keeping you awake.
I'm sure that's happening. I'm sure that's happening all over the country. But how do you choose? You get 3 and you're getting, several hundred a month. How do you choose?
Well, I look for great reads. I look for reads that make me really breathless. I know that sounds sort of silly to readers who are not romance readers, but the thing about romance is it's a story that is kind of as old as time, to be cliched, right? I mean, we want to have the happily ever after. We know how it's going to end. Every romance novel is going to end with the hero and heroine together, or the hero and hero together, or the heroine and heroine. 2 people fall in love. But the trick is finding the books that make you feel like the journey toward love is really new and fresh. And I love a book where I think to myself, you know, 3/4 of the way through, knowing who the hero and heroine are, how is this author going to pull this off?
Nice. And you're trying to provide some variety for us, too. I noticed you're choosing different kinds of books. Some are quite chaste and old-fashioned. Others are quite modern and paranormal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that the great thing about the romance genre is that it's so varied, and you can have sort of, you know, on one spectrum you can have gay romance about vampires, and on the other spectrum you can have, you know, very traditional, very chaste kind of Amish romance. Right. And ultimately, at its core, it's still the same story from beginning to end, two people falling in love. So.
Right. Now, this month, I asked you, and you did, thank you, write an extra column for us because we had a special summer reading section in Sunday's paper.
I love that cover, too, with the ice cream on the book.
Isn't that great? And you wrote a special column for us. I asked you to choose your 5 favorite beach reads of all time.
You did.
Yeah,
and
you did.
It was awesome. It was awesome. In part because I got to read them all over again.
Nice. Now, let's talk about summer reading, first of all. I mean, why do we have this expectation that reading in the summer should be different?
Well, I think reading in the summer, well, I read romance all year long, so I think we should have our treats. We should have dessert every day. Yeah. But I think that part of the charm of summer is the kind of lazy, the feeling that the days are long and we don't have as much to do. And I don't know that that's necessarily true, but it feels like we never get out of that mindset of the summer being the time we're off from school.
Right. I totally agree. It's funny because now most women work, none of us is going to school anymore, and yet we still carry the summer vacation fantasy with us.
Sure, and we still think of Labor Day as the end of something, right? Like, oh, it's Labor Day already, wow. And the truth is we've been going to work all summer, too. But so there is that sort of real sense of I'm going to lay on the beach, and do I want to read Dickens? Maybe, some people do, but you know, I'd rather read something that I can, again, sort of tear through, and when I look up 6 hours later, I have a tan or a, you know, terrible burn, and I've also read a book and had a great day.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Let's define the beach read, because it is kind of a term now. You hear all the time, sure. The beach read. And it's really broad. I think it's broader than romance, even.
Oh, absolutely.
What is the beach read?
Well, I think beach read can be... Of course, it can be pejorative. You know, we sort of think of it as less than. I think many of us think of it as less than.
Yes.
But there, again, I think we're talking about something that is, you know, a confection. We're thinking about something that is just as decadent as spending the day in the sun, you know, eating ice cream, or you know, putting on our flip-flops and going for a long walk. Right? We want the moment. We want that beach read to evoke confection. We want it to make us feel like we're being bad a little. And at the same time, we want it to make us feel fabulous, right? So most beach reads feel, to me, a beach read is something that sort of has a very kind of, that makes us feel good about ourselves. And I include kind of, I think, thrillers and mysteries and anything where at the end the good guy wins feels yes. like a beach read to me, or anything where the hero, you know, I think about, you know, Jennifer Cruzy or, you know, Ellen Hildebrand or Linda Francis Lee, and like these women write really beautiful beach reads that are about women on a journey, and at the end we feel better for that journey.
Right, and then you mentioned thrillers and murder mysteries, and horrible things happen in beach reads too, of course.
Sure.
Of, like Jaws was a great beach read decades ago.
On the beach, Jaws is an excellent beach read. You should only read Jaws on the beach.
Now, tell us about a few of the books you chose for your column, your favorite beach reads ever.
Yes, well, so you were very... my task was really wonderful because you sort of gave me free rein and said it can be any book that you've loved over your lifetime. So I started. I don't remember the order I did them in the column, but I'll try and go chronologically. I started with what I think is it is the book I recommend to anyone when they say they've never read romance.
Oh, excellent.
It's Susan Elizabeth Phillips's Nobody's Baby But Mine. And the thing about this book is the plot is totally insane in the most amazing way. The heroine is in her mid-30s. She's sort of a Doogie Howser-y kind of character in that she was, a child genius who became a physics professor and kind of was socially inept her whole life. Decides she wants to have a baby, but she doesn't want to go to a fertility clinic because she knows a lot of med students do that, and she doesn't want to curse her baby with intelligence. So she wants to balance it out, and she decides to steal a baby, quote, from the quarterback of the local NFL team.
Ah, yes.
In a hilarious, ridiculous confluence of events. It happens, and this all happens. I'm not spoiling anything. This all happens in the first 30 pages of the book. And then she's pregnant, and he finds out, and he's furious. And the romance ensues from there. What Susan does so well, what Susan Elizabeth Phillips does so well, is she takes these characters who at first glance seem really unlikable. Like, this woman does a horrible thing, and yet she makes us adore them. She's
nice.
Also hysterically funny, and at the end, you just can't imagine these two characters being with anyone else.
Excellent.
So I just recommend that book to everybody across the board when we talk about romance. But part of the joy of beach reads is this crazy. We give ourselves permission to read a little crazy, and
yes.
Nobody's Baby But Mine is that book for me.
Excellent, and that's from the very end of the 20th century, right? That's
yeah.
1997.
Wow, that makes it sound really old.
No, I didn't mean that.
Sound really old.
I didn't mean that. It's from 1997, right?
It is. It's from 1997. Some other choices. I chose J.R. Ward's Dark Lover.
Totally different.
Completely the opposite. So Dark Lover is J.R. Ward is well known for her Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which follows a group of very powerful, very sexy vampires as they battle a big bad. And Dark Lover is the first. Yes, it is the first in the Black Dagger Brothers series. It is about the king of the vampires, whose name is Wrath, who falls in love. And his heroine is a woman who is she's half vampire, and she doesn't know it. And she discovers that she's going to turn into, or she is told she's going to turn into a vampire. Wrath is assigned to her to kind of get her through her turn into a vampire, and it's tremendously sexy. It's tremendously dark. These heroes are tremendously sort of powerful alpha males, and it's one of those books that you just start and you think, this is crazy, and then you just tear through 9 books, in 2 days. I did this on a beach, true story. I was on vacation, I started Dark Lover, and by the end of the 3rd day, I had downloaded every single one of the books on my e-reader and read, most of them in 3 days. So. Were
you already into vampires, or was this?
No, in fact, it was my first. I'm sort of embarrassed to say this, but my romance experience was really lacking in paranormal when I did this about 3 years ago. And somebody said, you have to start with J.R. Ward. And I trusted them, and I picked up J.R. Ward. And I now read a lot of paranormal, as you know, for the column.
Right. Yeah. Did you see that? There's a question from Art Taylor coming in here on the side there. He's asking about that, the overlap in genres or the expansiveness of the romance genre. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So I think there's room. I think part of the joy of romance as a reader is that there's room for so much in a love story. Everyone has their the thing that they are crazy about in life, right? The thing that they really want to read about. I don't know, guys who ride motorcycles, or they want to read about medicine, or they want to read about they want to read a thriller, but they also wanted to have that love, that moment of romance.
Okay.
And so romance can do that for us.
So how do you know when a book is still a romance novel if it's doing all these other things?
At its core, it's about the hero and heroine. So we know it because any other part of the plot, first of all, in most romances, any other thing that happens in the plot serves the romance, meaning it's a thriller, but the hero and heroine have to be together in order for the thriller to be thrilling, so to speak. Or it's, vampires against the bad guys in a fight to the end of the world, but the heroine is essential to that battle. So we know it by virtue of the two characters being really well matched and equally as important to the story. And we also know it because at the end, it's their love story that finishes the book, in the sense of when their happily ever after concludes the story.
Okay, excellent. Tell me about a book you almost put on your list of favorite beach reads of all time, but in the end did not.
Sure. Well, this one is another one that I try to keep on theme, in the sense of all of the books that I chose have something to do a little with summer, and have something to do with that sort of confection. But I wish that I could have included Loretta Chase's Lord of Scoundrels, which is the other book besides Nobody's Baby But Mine that I always recommend to people who've never read romance. Lord of Scoundrels is widely believed to be one of the best romance novels ever written. It's a historical novel. It's set in London in the 1800s. It's a sort of Beauty and the Beast retelling, in a sense. The hero is very dark, very wounded in his past. The heroine is very, very bright and intelligent and bright in all senses. And their relationship is tremendously powerful because it is a classic opposites attract story. At the same time, Loretta Chase is a master with words. The writing is extraordinary. The storytelling is stunning, and the depth of research in the book is, I think, an excellent. I mean, it speaks to how much work great romance novelists take with their books.
Nice. Now, I know you don't just read romance, although you are our romance expert. What else are you recommending this summer?
Right now I'm having a sort of quiet, non-stalkery obsession with a woman named S.J. Bolton, who's a British. She's a British thriller writer.
Oh, okay.
And I found, again, talk about a beach read. I was on vacation in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and I don't golf, so there was nothing to do but read, while everyone else golfed. And I went into a bookstore and I said, I write romance novels, but I don't want to read one right now. And a bookseller hand-sold me S.J. Bolton's Now You See Me. And it's it's sort of perfectly designed for me because I write books set in London, but this book is a modern crime novel. The main character is a female detective, and it's a killer is wreaking havoc on London by recreating the Jack the Ripper murders.
Wow.
And she's a Jack the Ripper expert, and so she gets sort of brought into this on a number of different levels. There's a little bit of a question of whether or not she's maybe the killer. It's a tremendously readable, this book. I was tearing through it. I cared not a bit about being in Hilton Head and not being a golfer.
That sounds great.
And then after that, I read this character has now become a character in several books, as I am told happens in thrillers, by my father, who reads Lee Child like crazy. Yes. And now she's written several others. Another that I really love is called Dead Scared. But yeah, I'm wild about her.
That's
in a
great.
Totally non-creepy way.
Okay. Another question came in from Julia. She wants to know how e-readers have changed your vacation, how they've changed what you read, the way you read.
I think e-readers are like the Lord's gift to readers, truly. In part because we've all been there, right? We've all been on the like long haul flight to wherever we're going, to California, and we finish our book halfway through, and then we're stuck doing like Sudoku over and over again because we don't have anything to do with ourselves, right? As readers, we don't want to watch the stupid movie. We want to, read again.
Yes.
And now I just feel like anytime I carry my e-reader with me, now you can read on your phone. I always have a book with me. It's amazing. So it's changed. I mean, it's changed my life tremendously. And I also, as a writer, I'm just so happy that readers get access to my books in every possible way.
It's true, isn't it, that genre readers, maybe even romance readers, are on the cutting edge of new platforms, new ways of reading?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. As goes romance specifically, so goes publishing is the adage. And I think it's because, romance, we were the first to go, mass market this size. After the Pulp Fiction went first, the very sort of skinny pulp novels that we think of from the 40s and 50s, but ultimately it was romance that sort of made this small portable size popular, and then we were the first to really lean into e-reading, and now I think you're really seeing the boom in self-publishing is coming from romance, and
right.
And I'm really proud of us for for being able to make those kind of changes. I think it comes from us being the largest percentage of the publishing market.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah. Publishers must listen to an army of readers this big.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we hope so, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's been great fun talking to you.
Ron, thank you so much for having me.
This was wonderful.
Do you think makes a good beach read?
Oh gosh, I don't get to read anything fun. I have to read these serious novels in which nothing happens.
Oh, stop! Again, I point to your video about 50 Shades of Grey, which I will tweet later.
Now we'll get another column from you end of July, right?
End of July, and I know the books I'm reviewing, and they're really tremendous. It's 2 historicals and a contemporary.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks so much, Ron.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Bye-bye.
Take care.